So here's another thing. TVs are now announcing, so we have Samsung, LG, Vizio, and Sony all announced today that they'll be supporting AirPlay 2.
Yeah, I really wanted to talk about this for a little bit because that's huge.
Do it.
Yeah, so Apple has always been a really closed ecosystem.
Yeah.
If you ever got, iTunes Music back in the early 2000s, you could literally only play it on your iPod and then your iPhone, and you couldn't play it on third party devices. You couldn't play it on a Zune. It took forever even to get to Windows for iTunes to be on there that you could play it. It had
Yeah.
restrictions that you could only play it on up to 5 devices. And Matt, did you know
Wicked.
that I still have about 600 songs that I can only play on 5 devices because it still has the DRM on it from the
Yes.
early 2000s.
I
And I thought
remember
for
that.
sure
Yeah.
I paid $1.39 for these songs. I'm sure that as time goes on and that as streaming becomes more popular, I'll be able to just play it wherever. But no, it's still restricted. And
Hmm.
so that's how restricted their ecosystem is. Now, back 20 years ago, they had to get a lot of different permissions from Sony, from all the different music companies to let them play. And
Hmm.
so that was their excuse back then. But Apple is a closed ecosystem.
They really are.
Even their OS 10, I mean, they don't let you do a lot of stuff on your Mac machine on a Windows machine. For example, programming video games or programming any kind of program for an iPhone, you have to have a Mac machine. And
Hmm.
that's kind of their bread and butter. They make you buy their hardware in order to release anything for it. They make you buy their hardware to listen to the music on it. And so the fact that now they're finally saying, you know what? You don't need our hardware anymore. Watch our programs wherever you want is insane. Um,
So So what's the implications of this? Do you think it's going to help Apple? They've been so enclosed, but a lot of people still have iPhones, especially in North America. Lots of people have iPhones. I'd say it's probably 50% of the phones that I see out there are iPhones. Now, granted, that's dropping significantly from what it used to be, but do you think it's going to help Apple and improve their popularity that now you can just use your iPhone and cast directly to a television without needing an Apple TV?
well, I like the fact that AirPlay is coming, and that's what you had mentioned, AirPlay 2.
Yeah.
But did you know they're also releasing the iTunes Store with
Oh.
movies and TV shows on the Samsung devices? And there's rumors that it will be with LG as well.
Well, I
Now,
didn't know that, and I think that's wise. I mean, look at Apple TV or Google TV. Google TV's been like 2 years now, maybe even 3 years on TVs without needing a box. Roku, right? Apple was the first to the market with this. Apple TV, when it first came out, everybody was amazed with it. And they're like, oh, this is so cool. But yet it was Roku, it was Android that started partnering with the manufacturers of televisions. And they're the ones that everybody's using now. So is Apple too late?
well, I think what's going to happen is Apple's going to release a Netflix competitor,
Hmm.
probably this year, because I know they've already signed on some huge people. Like I think, Rachel from Friends. I forget what her real name is, and that
Jennifer
guy,
Aniston,
and that guy that does the singing in Cars with Stars. I forget his name. He's here in LA.
Jerry Seinfeld.
No, no, not the comedians in Cars with Coffee, but it's he
Oh,
sings he
yeah.
sings with them. They go around. Anyway, they've signed a ton of people to make these shows just for the Apple whatever the streaming thing that
Yeah,
they're going to
whatever it
come
will
out
be.
with.
It's kind of like Netflix is making their own content and Amazon is making theirs and Apple is making theirs. So it's no secret. And we also have Disney has already said they're pulling all of their content from Netflix. And I think that's what kind of sparked all this independent content because Netflix saw this coming, that they're going to lose all this great content. And I guarantee you Disney's made money off of it,
Oh yeah, huge
right?
money. Well, and here's the other crazy thing about here in Los Angeles is Apple has just purchased a huge stage and movie production warehouse in Culver City, which is expensive. So they're planning on making their own original content over there, is what I'm guessing. And
Mm.
so they're probably going to have this Netflix competitor, and they don't want it just to be for people with an Apple TV. Because like you said, if you look around, most people have a Roku or they have, the NVIDIA Shield like you do, or other things, or a Samsung TV, right? They have a
Yeah,
Samsung
yeah,
TV
these
or an
TVs are
LG
coming
TV.
smart, right? And
Yeah,
and a lot of them actually have Android built right into them.
yeah.
And so you've got Chromecast capabilities. I mean, that's been for years you could buy a television with Chromecast built right in.
So
So,
I don't think it's the Airplay II that's really exciting. I mean, it's cool. I have an iPhone. I'd like to pull up a PowerPoint presentation or some
yeah,
photos from my recent trip and show everyone. That would be nice, because I don't have an Apple TV. But
yeah.
I think the real seller here is that they're going to put their streaming on it, the
And
iTunes
their app
store.
store, like that's crazy. That's crazy
But it's
because
it's mostly just movies and TV shows
okay,
and
so you're not
music.
going to
It's
be playing games and apps and things like that.
no, not that I can
Unlike
tell.
what you can do, like my Shield TV, I can put games on it, no
I
problem.
wonder.
Yeah,
Let's investigate this more because it just said iTunes.
yeah,
And iTunes technically could be part of the App Store, but I kind of got the
yeah.
feeling it was just movies and TV shows. So I think this is going to be huge. And personally, I hope that they break open their operating system a little bit more. Let us install it on things that aren't MacBooks. Wouldn't that be
Yeah,
great to get a
yeah,
Lenovo and put OS 10 on it and just open up
yeah.
their whole ecosystem? So this is a start.
And you really got me thinking here, Dan, because Apple had a monopoly. iTunes was way ahead of its time when it first came out, and everybody was on it, right? You just told us you bought these songs for how much? $1.35 that you can only
Yeah,
play on five objects, right? Like
yeah.
five devices. And I did too. And I had iTunes and now I don't because I've left the Apple ecosystem and I have no desire to go back because that's the only place I could use it is on my Apple ecosystem. Now I've got an iMac at home and yeah, I could put iTunes on it, but it also works just fine with everything else that I'm currently using. So yeah, I think Apple's really missed the boat being so protectionist. Um, I think they could have kept a lot of the market share that they've lost, but at the same time, they've kept a premium dollar value for their exclusivity.
Yeah, well, and I hope too that they release this for Roku and not just for the Samsung TV. One huge downside to TV software is that it does not get updated as often as like a Roku
Oh
would.
yeah, yeah,
So you're kind of
exactly.
stuck with whatever the box gave you.
Yeah.